ready for some football. I don't know about you. Who else could it be but your man Lou? Yeah.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to Divisional Round Weekend Overtime. 2 games on the docket to kick off Divisional Round Weekend. Man, was the first one good and the second not so much. I told you I thought 3 out of the 4 games this weekend would be good. I thought the Jacksonville game could – I never thought it would be a blowout. I told you I thought it would be a 12-point game. I think I had it at 29-17. It ended up being a 7-point game. They got a late field goal. So I wasn't that far off on that game. Didn't expect the Mahomes injury. Obviously, we'll talk more about that game in a second. But I thought this Eagles game – I was never, ever convinced that the Giants would win, but I did think it would be way more competitive than what it was tonight. But I never, like, once the Eagles saw that once the Giants won last week, I said the Eagles are getting a free pass to the NFC Championship game. And I hated that. I hated the fact that they weren't going to have to struggle in the manner that they would have had they had to play Dallas or Tampa Bay or some other team in that spot instead of playing the Giants. The thing I love about playoff ball, specifically the divisional round, because you can get into the playoffs and in wild card weekend, you can pull a major upset. But the thing I love about the divisional round is that it exposes teams that really don't truly belong. Wild card weekend doesn't do that because you can ride the momentum and the wave of, the end of the regular season and what you were able to accomplish. And you can go into an opposing team's stadium and find a way to will yourself to a victory in wild card weekend as a 6 or a 7 seed, a 5, whatever the case may be. If you don't truly belong, however, the divisional round will bear that out. You can't run or hide in the divisional round. There are no weak links. You're going to have 1 or 2 teams that you look at and say, man, that team, they're all right. But, honestly, I don't know if they're really truly a playoff team or not. They're going to be 1 or 2 of those that sneak in every year in the playoffs, or their record is cool, but I don't really believe in them. I don't buy what they're selling. Like Minnesota this year, for instance. Like the frauds get exposed in divisional round weekend. The Giants were frauds. However, you got nothing to be ashamed of if you're a Giants fan. This is a hell of a season, man. You were playing with house money. You went into this game thinking, hey, if we beat the Eagles, what an accomplishment it would be. You could talk all that trash for the off season, and it'd be great to be playing in the NFC Championship game, and it'd give you those 2007 vibes where you were a 6 seed and you came out of nowhere and you went on the road and were road warriors and you won 3 in a row on the road and ended up in the Super Bowl and beat Brady and company and knocked them off in the undefeated season. It would have given you those vibes. That team wasn't this team, right? Or this team wasn't that team, rather. Not even close. And we knew that. There was no talent on this team. There's no Plaxico Burress on this team. You know what I'm saying? Like, the defensive line is solid, but that's not Michael Strahan, Justin Tuck, Matthias Kiwanuka, or all of those. That's not what Osi Umenyiora. That's not what these guys are. I don't even know if Matthias Kiwanuka was on that team or not yet. He might have been on the team for the 11 run. I don't know if he was there for the 07 run, but that's not what this group was. Like, the buck stopped here. We knew this. I thought that the score was, I think I gave you guys 26-20. I thought it was going to be 26-13 and the Giants score a garbage time touchdown, never got the ball back with a chance to win. I never thought that would be the case. I just thought this would be a 1-score game when it was all said and done. Similar to the Chiefs game, how they got the field goal late to make it a 1-score game, but it wasn't really a 1-score game, even though it was tight, Never in a million years did I think it would be 28-0 again. Like, I thought we got past that after the Week 18 matchup. I didn't think we would be going back to the Week 14 debacle in the Meadowlands, but that's exactly where we were at the end of the first half, as this thing was absolutely over before it got started. And we'll do a thorough examination of this game. I actually want to start with the game that was competitive. So we'll go to the Chiefs and the Jags first, and then we'll come back, tackle the game that we just finished watching, which wasn't a game at all. This game was over in the first half. So I don't feel the need to start there. Let's start with the game that actually was competitive, and that being the Chiefs victorious over the Jacksonville Jaguars 27-20. Obviously, Chiefs get off to the fast start, and it seemed like it was going to be one of those games where Mahomes was going to be in that kind of a zone, and it was going to be up to the Jaguars offense, not their defense, because I don't know if Mahomes doesn't get injured. I don't know how many times they're able to stop that Chiefs offense in this game. It may have turned into a shootout. Now, defense settles in. It's not uncommon that first drive, it's tough for defense. They've been game planning. You saw what the Eagles did. First possession, they come out, they marched it right down the field. You got 2 weeks to set up for your opposition, whether, it's going to be the Giants or it's going to be Dallas or Tampa. They had 2 weeks to prepare, to put in an offense. And those first 15 that they scripted, they were sitting on those for over a week. So it's hard. Kansas City was ready. They had already played Jacksonville once, so they were ready, and they marched it right down the field. And Mahomes made some plays, man, on that first possession. And it reminded me of the year that they lost the Super Bowl to Tampa Bay. He had the toe injury, and he wasn't himself, but the offensive line really wasn't great that year. Obviously, they did a lot of, upgrades to the line after that Super Bowl, but he wasn't healthy, though. He had the toe injury. He was struggling a little bit. We may be going down that road again. They're going to have x-rays on his or MRI rather on his ankle. I don't think it's broken. I was talking to somebody during the game that said they thought it was broken. I don't think it's broken. I just think it's a severely sprained, the worst type of sprain. I think it's a grade 3 high ankle sprain, which is the absolute worst you can have. Honestly, with a high ankle, a grade 3 high ankle sprain, you might be better off just breaking your ankle, honestly speaking. It's really tough for that to heal. Luckily enough, the quarterback position isn't one where you necessarily have to cut and plant and drive, even though you have to drive off that back foot for the velocity that you're looking for in the football, which we saw in the game. He struggled with that. They gave him a shot of Toradol, I would assume, at halftime. He still was struggling, right? So that's going to be a problem next week, no matter who the opponent is, because he's not going to be fully healthy next week, and he's not even going to be remotely close if he's able to even go. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if he's not able to play, but Mahomes is such a warrior and a gamer, and you saw that today. I said that Ryan Tannehill playing on one foot, essentially, that he had an ankle injury similar to Mahomes's in that game against the Chargers earlier this season. I said that was the gutsiest performance I had seen all season. Now you scrap that and you go to Patrick Mahomes and you put his name at the top of the list. Look, I know the MVP is a regular season award, but he stamped his claim for that today. I think he pretty much sealed that deal. Again, it's a regular season award. This doesn't have any bearing or impact on how that voting goes. But if you haven't voted, I don't know if they voted already or not, but if you haven't voted already, how could you not watch the performance today and say that's the MVP of the league? For him to leave the game, come back, clearly he was impacted. The man couldn't even get to the outside zone run handoffs, cleanly. At one point, Andy Reid just stopped running them because he couldn't get to the mesh point. He couldn't get to the handoff. And like Chris Collinsworth said, it was getting to the point where he was handing the ball off where the running back would naturally be looking to cut it back because he wasn't getting to that mesh point, which is on the outside. You're looking to get that football to the tackle, and he was handing that thing off right around that guard gap. So it was not conducive there. He struggled, throwing the football at times, especially the quick ones where he was just trying to get it out of his hands. But he gutted it out. He made all of the throws that he needed to make. He including a leaping touchdown throw in the back of the end zone. He was outstanding in this game, and it's another feather in his cap. It's another chapter in the Patrick Mahomes story that we've seen in his young career. He hasn't had a ton of adversity in his career. This is adversity. It hit in a major way in this game, and he showed his toughness. He did not want to come out of the game. They had to force him to go into the tunnel and into the locker room to have it x-rayed to make sure that it was not broken. Those x-rays were negative. Chad Henne, this is why having a backup in this league is important, okay? I can't stress this enough. If you're a good team, look, if you're a garbage team, your backup doesn't matter. If you suck, It doesn't matter what backup quarterback you have. You're not going to be playing in meaningful games anyway. Okay. But if you're a good team, it is imperative that you have a quality backup in this league, because you're going to need that guy at some point, even if it's only for a possession or two. How important was that one possession that Chad Henne came on the field for? They started that drive at the 1 or 2 yard line. Imagine if you had an incompetent backup quarterback in that situation that you do not trust. Andy Reid trusts Chad Henne. Again, man's been in the league for 600 years, so he should trust him. He's been in a similar spot. We remember 2 years ago in the divisional round against the Browns, who were giving the Chiefs everything they could ask for in that game. He came in and had a huge second half, including the game-clinching throw to Tyreek Hill on 4th down and a huge run to set up the 4th down to Tyreek Hill. So he's been in these situations before, but if you have an incompetent backup that you don't trust, you're not throwing the football on the very first snap from the 1 or 2 yard line. Are you crazy? And he throws it. It's a completion. He settled them down. The run game helped with Isaiah Pacheco. We'll talk more about him in a second. They were able to get that football. And I thought Collinsworth said it best. No matter what happens, they got out to the 30, yard line or so. No matter what happens after that, you've done your job. You've gotten the football out of the shadow of your own goalpost. Now you can, if you have to punt this thing 3 plays later, it doesn't matter. You flip field position. You've done your job. He proceeded to drive them all the way down the field into the end zone for a touchdown. How big was that, right? Like that's that. If that's a 3 and out, they punt the ball. The whole game could potentially change right there. That's the importance of having a quality backup that you trust, that you believe in, and they have that in Chad Henne. And so you couldn't blame it on the Henne today. Definitely couldn't blame it on the Henne. He came in, did his job for the remainder of the second quarter, and then Mahomes comes back in the second half, and yeah, he was struggling moving around. But and this is why you spend the type of money that they spent on the offensive line and the draft capital. This is why you draft Creed Humphrey, who is probably the best, if not one of the best centers in all of football. This is why you draft the Smith kid out of Tennessee and you play him at guard. This is why you go out and you spend money on Joe Thuney. This is why you go out and you trade for Orlando Brown. This is why you fortify the line in front of your franchise quarterback. This is why you spend the resources to protect your investment, because you don't know what's going to happen. But this was the game where he couldn't afford to have pressure because he could not move. And they protected him. Even the plays where he decided to run, that wasn't because there was instant pressure by Jacksonville. Nobody was open initially, and he decided to take off and run. So that offensive line, they did their job. They were outstanding. They protected him, and he delivered. And it was a big win. Isaiah Pacheco. We talk about all the receivers and all the things that they've done this offseason to kind of circumvent the loss of Tyreek Hill, going out and getting Juju Smith-Schuster, which they had already done that before Tyreek Hill had gotten traded. But they went and got Marquez Valdez-Scantling after he was lost. They went out and got, Sky Moore after he was traded. They're still doing all of this. They traded for Kadarius Toney, obviously after the Tyreek Hill situation had been resolved. And all of this is done in trying to keep this offense diverse. This is all being done, by the way, without Mecole Hardman, who we thought was going to be a massive part of this team's offense and was before he got injured. And so they've got all these pieces that they got. Justin Watson as well. Don't want to forget about him because he's become a huge part of this football team. They got all these pieces, right, that make this offense so diverse. We forget about the running back position. That's probably, and I think when we think about the Chiefs, when we talk about the Chiefs during this run, they're going to either host their 5th consecutive AFC Championship game, which has never been done in NFL history. The Patriots hosted 4 in a row. No one's ever hosted 5. If Cincinnati wins, they will be hosting the AFC Championship for the 5th consecutive year, going all the way back to 2018, which was Mahomes' first year as a starter. What we fail to realize is during this stretch where the Chiefs have been dominant and been the team to beat in the AFC, the running back position has been one of the biggest positions that has helped carry them to their success. It's easy to comb over what the running back position has meant to the Chiefs, because Damian Williams was huge. Remember, we made a case for him being the Super Bowl MVP in the 19 Super Bowl that they won. Okay. Clyde Edwards-Helaire was huge when they first drafted him. Obviously, his spot has been taken, okay, by Isaiah Pacheco. But look at what, even last year when they didn't, win the NFC or AFC championship game, but look at last year and the impact that Jerick McKinnon had, right? Look at how that's transferred over to this year. He's huge. A receiving touchdown in 6 straight games prior to today. The guy is a monster. You saw the blitz pickup he had today. I mean, are you kidding me? I love that dude. You guys know how I feel about Jerick McKinnon. Shh, don't tell nobody about the secret weapon known as Jerick McKinnon. But Isaiah Pacheco, to me, is the X factor with this Chiefs team, because it's amazing. The rich get richer. And you know what? When you're a good organization and you do a great job of scouting and you can identify talent, this is what happens, right? They get Isaiah Pacheco in the 7th round. Are you kidding me? All these teams whiffing on backs in the 3rd and the 4th and the 5th round, or you're getting a mediocre back in those mid to late rounds, and they find a gem in Isaiah Pacheco, who runs a 4, they said a 4.39 or something like that, which is ridiculous. But the way he runs the football reminds me of Marion Barber. I think that's the best comp that I've heard, which is just relentless on every single snap. There is a reckless abandon that he plays the game with. He's one of those guys that if you're a veteran on the team and he's a rookie and he comes in, you don't want him, on the other side of practice, because he's going 110 miles an hour. He's going super hard. You're a veteran. You're just trying to get through training camp. And this kid is relentless. After the play, he's getting up and he's sprinting back to the huddle. He's making everybody look bad. These are the kind of guys that piss you off as a veteran, because you're like, bro, take it easy. He didn't know how to take it easy. He doesn't have any other speed. His shit is stuck in 5th gear. It's high speed, high energy at all times, okay? If it's a 1-yard run, it's going to be a physical, hard 1-yard run. If it's 15 yards, it's going to be a physical, hard 15-yard run. We saw him run into the line, bounce that thing outside, and take the hell off and almost score, getting down inside the 5-yard line. He was outstanding. He almost had 100 yards on I think he ended up, at one point, it was 12 carries for 92 yards. If they would have given it to him more, I think he would have exceeded 100 yards in this game. I'm going to check and see. I'm pretty sure they gave it to McKinnon late in the game, so I don't think he eclipsed 100 yards. But at one point, it was 12 for 92, and it ended up 12 for 95, 12 for 95. Man averaged 8 yards a pop in this game. He was huge. He was huge in this football game. And as I mentioned, man, I don't think the Chiefs' ability to run the football, Isaiah Pacheco, or the running backs out of the backfield catching the football, i.e. Jerick McKinnon, get enough credit for the success of this Chiefs offense. They really round that offense out, and they give Mahomes an easy outlet. It's, one of the things quarterbacks love is when they can just dump it down to a guy and he can do the rest. They have guys like that. Between Pacheco and McKinnon, they got guys, just get it in their hands and they can make something happen. You saw that in this game, specifically with Isaiah Pacheco. So I thought it was a really good effort defensively, because the defense had to step up in this game. And it wasn't always pretty. They were on the ropes there at 27-17. They were on the verge of giving up a touchdown, which would have cut it to 3. I don't think the Chiefs were scoring any more points. They were done at 27. They had maxed out for the day. So it was going to be on the defense to preserve this victory. And they were able to do it. Again, some help from the, Jaguars and Jamal Agnew. But look, you got to be there to take advantage of that opportunity. How about the pick by Jalen Watson? My God, the one-hand stab down the sideline. Slightly underthrown football, but still, how many corners catch that football? Not many in the league. Not one-handed, especially. He's got length, he's got size, he's got speed, he's got hands clearly. Made the big play against the Chargers in week 2, obviously, and then makes a big play here. This is probably the biggest play of his career here with the pick in the playoffs to pretty much cinch it for the Chiefs. Any comeback attempt that, might have been on the table was thwarted there with that interception. And they were able to hang on and win this football game. Again, it wasn't pretty. The special teams, we're going to talk about that in a second, for Jacksonville was huge. And so the Chiefs, had some letdowns there. And they, even when it felt like they could maybe take control of this game, they scored the touchdown on their opening possession. And that Jacksonville had already punted, on their opening possession. And now you're going to kick it off to them. And if you get another stop, get it back to Mahomes in that offense, who's to say that they don't move it right back down the field again and make this thing 14-0? And I said one of the keys to the game was you can't fall behind big time in this game, Jacksonville, because this isn't the Chargers. You're not going to mount a comeback here and end up winning this game. You get behind big against the, Kansas City Chiefs, this thing is over. And that return by Jamal Agnew, it settled them down. It also gave them life. They weren't on their deathbed, but they weren't doing too hot either. And that gave them a life. They moved it down the field. They scored the touchdown, tied the game up. The Chiefs promptly went right back down the field and got points. Did they get the touchdown? Yeah, Christian Kirk caught the touchdown pass to tie it up at 7 apiece. And we had a ball game. But at the end of the day, the Chiefs were the better team. We knew they were going to win this game. Even when Mahomes got hurt, I never thought they were going to lose this game. My buddy called me at halftime and said, what do you think? Does Jacksonville have a shot? I said, they had a shot before Mahomes got injured. They were going to be in this game, but they're not going to win. And why weren't they going to win? Let's go to Jacksonville and talk about the Jaguars. So let's talk about why the Jaguars weren't going to win this game. They weren't ready yet. And in a game like this, on the road against a team who's been there, done that, I just talked about them potentially playing in their 5th consecutive AFC Championship game, hosting it at Arrowhead, potentially, depending on the outcome of the game tomorrow with Buffalo and Cincinnati. But no matter what happens in that game, they're going to be playing in their 5th consecutive AFC Championship game, regardless. The question is whether they'll be hosting it or will they be traveling to Atlanta to play the Buffalo Bills. But this team has seen it all, done it all. So they're battle-tested. They're unfazed by a young upstart team, because it's crazy as it sounds, the Chiefs are young. As much success as they've had, you got to still remember Patrick Mahomes was drafted in 2017. Like, he's only been in the league 6 years. This is his 6th season in the league. He did not play in his first year. He was sitting behind Alex Smith. The 5 years that he started, he's had his team in the AFC Championship every single year. So it's just amazing to think about how young he still is and how much more of this the AFC is going to have to endure. But they're not fazed by a young upstart. They're not Golden State with a bunch of 30-somethings trying to hang on and extend their legacy. These guys are young. Outside of Travis Kelce, everybody on that team's young. They're not going away anytime soon. So they're not fazed by the new kid on the block. So if you are serious about going into Arrowhead and beating the Kansas City Chiefs, if you're Christian Kirk, you can't drop that ball. You can't drop that ball. That's a dime from Trevor Lawrence. Is it the easiest catch to make? Did he just drop it in the old breadbasket? No. But that's a great throw. That's why I want that football. If he's not going to hit you in stride, that's where I want it, out in front of you so you can make a play on it so that the defenders don't have a chance. Got to catch that ball. That's the difference between you getting a field goal, which you ultimately did on that drive, and getting a touchdown. Score is 14-7 at that point. You catch that ball, the likelihood is you're going to score a touchdown. This game's tied at 14. It's a totally different game. Instead, you drop that, you kick a field goal, it's 14-10. Game's totally different. Can't Trevor Lawrence on a 3rd down, wide open. Christian Kirk. Now, Kirk slipped a couple of times. Is that the reason? I don't think that's the reason that ball skipped to him, that he had to dive and that ball wasn't there. He just missed him. That's a 3rd down completion that moves the sticks and gives you an opportunity to potentially get points on the scoreboard. Can't have it. On your first possession of the game, You're in field goal range. You can't take a sack on 2nd and 10 and get pushed back to the 40-yard line. You can't do it. Then on 3rd down, JaMycal Hasty can't drop a pass that won't net you a 1st down, but it'll get you a gain of 7 and put you back into field goal range. Can't happen. Every possession. This is why I love playoff ball in all sports, specifically basketball and football, because in the regular season, every possession doesn't matter. You know, you can turn it over here. You have a drop pass or penalties could derail this drive, and you can still overcome that. It's okay. You're fine. It's all right. Basketball, you can turn it over, be loosey-goosey, you know, and it's okay. Every possession matters when you get to the postseason. In basketball, in football, you start turning the ball over, you miss an opportunity here, you can't get that shit back. They start to add up. And the difference may be that one drop by JaMycal Hasty on 3rd down where you could have gotten a field goal. That could be the difference in the game. Every possession matters, and the Jags didn't value that in this game. I just gave you 3 possessions where they didn't come away with either a touchdown or any points. 2 out of the 3 possessions, they come away with any points. 1 possession, they settled for a field goal when they probably would have come away with the touchdown. That makes all the difference in the world. In a game where you lose by 7, and I didn't even talk about the fumble by Jamal Agnew. I mean, that's an opportunity, bare minimum. You're coming away with the field goal to cut it to a 1-score game with roughly 6 minutes left in the game. You've still got, I think at that time they had 2 of their timeouts remaining. You got plenty of time. 2-minute warning still left. Even if they get a 1st down or 2, you're still in a position to get the ball back with a chance to tie this thing. And if Doug Peterson's feeling freaky, go for it on 2. Go for it, 2-point conversion in the win, depending on how Doug's feeling. You never got that chance because you made too many mistakes. So they just weren't ready. You know, this just wasn't their time yet. But, you know, with a lot of young teams, not all the time. Like last year, we saw, Joe Burrow and company show up for the first time in the playoffs and make it all the way to the Super Bowl. Usually that's not how it works. You got to take your lumps. It doesn't work like that in basketball in particular. You're not going to just show up as a 7 seed and upset your way all the way to the NBA Finals. It's not happening in basketball. You got to take your lumps before you can finally say, hey, I'm ready. I'm battle tested. I've got my playoff battle scars. I'm ready. In football, you can circumvent some of those battle scars if you're good enough. The Jags aren't there yet, though. But this was great experience for them. Great experience for them. They're a better team because of it. They've gotten a taste of the postseason. They see what it's like. They see what intensity they have to play at, on a week in, week out basis now. And they understand what this is all about. And they're going to lament some of the mistakes and some of the missed opportunities in this game, especially when you only lose by a touchdown. I just gave you 4 possessions that could have resulted in some type of points. One did, a field goal, but it could have been a touchdown if Christian Kirk catches the football. The other 3, a fumble, a sack that knocked him out of field goal range, and then a subsequent drop on 3rd down, and then another one where Trevor Lawrence misses an open receiver on a 3rd and long, who's open for a 1st down. They had opportunities, but they weren't ready yet. And Kansas City, being the battle-tested veteran playoff team that they are, they took advantage of those mistakes. You want to fumble in the red zone? We're going to recover that. You want to give our guy a chance to pick it off late in the game to secure the victory? We're going to do that. They got to clean up that specialties now. There's only one Jamal Agnew in the league. There are only a select few guys that you worry about. Kene Nwangwu in Minnesota, Jamal Agnew in Jacksonville, obviously Cordero Patterson in Atlanta. There's only a select few. I don't think there's any more guys than the 3 that I just named that you worry about as a kickoff return man. Maybe Kavontae Turpin as well in Dallas. But there's only a handful of guys that scare you as kickoff return men. We don't get those in the league anymore. Kansas City's got to clean this shit up, though. I mean, if Agnew's getting these big ass, like he wasn't even touched. This wasn't him getting special, being special, getting skinny, doing all of this shit that special return men do. This man wasn't touched on either one of these big returns. Harrison Butker tackled him with his chin. Like, they got to clean that shit up. But other than that, Kansas City are the Chiefs. They did the thing that we are accustomed to seeing them do. They got bigger problems on their hands because it was already going to be tough with a healthy Mahomes beating either Buffalo or Cincinnati, both of which beat you in the regular season already. Now you got to compromise Patrick Mahomes moving forward. That's going to make that task even tougher. Don't know if they'll be up to that challenge or not. We'll see. We'll see the extent of Mahomes' injury. We'll see how he's able to deal with that pain. But he's a gamer. He'll be out there. And we'll see what happens. See who they're playing. It would make a world of difference if, honestly speaking, I know they want to be at home, but the cold doesn't do much for an ankle injury or any kind of an injury that's, an ankle, a joint or anything like that. You would much rather be in a controlled environment that will allow that thing to stay warm. So the only difference is turf doesn't have give, so that it might not be the best for the ankle, but hell, it's cold as shit outside. That grass isn't soft. It's hard as a rock anyway. So I don't know, man. That's going to be tough next week, but at least you're talking about next week if you're the Kansas City Chiefs. If you're Jacksonville, what a season, man. Just like the Giants, what a season. Nobody expected you to be here this year. First year under Doug Peterson. You heard what they were talking about on the telecast. Like, he had to go in there and there was healing in an NFL locker room. Healing had to take place. They were so scarred by Herb last year that healing. He said, I didn't even know if the players were going to show up for the offseason program. I mean, who says that? I get it. It's optional, but it's a different coach. It'd be one thing if Herb showed up again and they was like, man, that shit, I ain't going. It's a brand new coach. You want to make a great impression. You're a young team. Yeah, you're going to show up. He wasn't sure, though. For them to be at one point this season 3-7, and for them to scratch and claw their way to the AFC South chip and get in and not only do that, but win a game speaks volumes towards where they're heading. And so that it was a successful season anyway you slice it for Jacksonville. But they just weren't ready for the divisional round and the intensity and the execution and the consistency that is necessary to advance, to play for a spot, for an opportunity to go to the Super Bowl. They weren't ready for that yet. So now we go to the nightcap. Again, there wasn't much to see here. Another team that has nothing to be ashamed of. They were a year early to the party, and so they should feel really good about the season that they've turned in. But this was embarrassing. You never want to go out like this, meekly into the night. I mean, they showed no fight, no heart in this game whatsoever, did the Giants. The Eagles did whatever they wanted to, however they wanted to, whenever they wanted to in this game. And what's funny is I gave my prediction for this game, but I gave you my preview, and I gave you keys to the game. And the first key I believe I gave you, the most important one I know for sure that I gave you, in regards to Eagles hosting Giants. I said Daniel Jones has been extremely comfortable. Why? Because his first read is consistently open, and he's getting the ball out of his hands. He's not holding on to it, because Daniel Jones is at his worst when he holds on to the football. We saw it tonight. Somebody tweeted me and said, Daniel Jones looked like Daniel Jones tonight. I said, yeah, you're pretty much spot on. Daniel Jones turned into Daniel Jones at the absolute worst time he could possibly turn back into his old self. But you got to give the Eagles defense credit. A lot of the sacks and a lot of the these weren't immediate wins. Okay. A lot of it was coverage based. Daniel Jones got to his back foot, and against the Vikings and against the Indianapolis Colts and against Washington and some of these games they won down the stretch, he got to that back foot. The ball was out. Okay. That first read was open. He didn't have to go through his progressions. He knew where he wanted to go. And I'll tell you this, the first two possessions, He looked comfortable. He looked like the Daniel Jones we saw last week. They were moving the football. I said, everything that I thought this game could be, it looked like it was going to be after the Eagles moved it right down the field with no mercy. It was on some Cobra Kai shit. Okay. No mercy. Right down the field on their ass, touchdown. I said, all right, Giants, how are you going to respond? You got immediate adversity in this game. What are you going to do? And Daniel Jones had those boys on the move. And he hits Richie James on the third down, and it's a first down. And getting the ball to Saquon Barkley. And I'm loving this first drive. He's in rhythm. They're moving the football. They got the timing and the rhythm that they want to get into. And everything seems like they picked right up from where they left off last week. And then, look, if we're going to give him all of this credit, you got to criticize him when he doesn't do the things that I think he should do. So, and I think he did a phenomenal job, and I think he should be coach of the year, Brian Daboll. You know, we saw the coach of the year today. It should be one of the two coaches that lost today. It should either be Doug Peterson in Jacksonville or Brian Daboll in New York. You pick your choice. One of those two should be walking away with the hardware of coach of the year this year. Anyway, you get to 3rd and 3. And I'm thinking Brian Daboll is going to go for it because in the biggest game they had this season at Washington on a Sunday night, it was 4th and 9, and he said, F it. He didn't even blink. Punter wasn't even a thought. Field goal kicker wasn't even a thought. He was sending in the play call with, 37 seconds left on the play clock. He never blinked. He didn't flinch. None of that shit. I said, oh, he's going for it here. They're already past midfield. They're on the fringe of field goal range. They're going for it. It's 3rd and 3. So if you know already as a play caller, and I don't know if this is Mike Kafka that I should be blaming or if I should be putting the blame solely on, Brian Daboll, or is this a collective effort? And Daboll should have said in the headset, hey, Mike, we going for this on 4th down. So remember, you got 2 plays to get 3 yards. If you already know that going into your 3rd down call, remember, this is the first possession of the game. It's 7-0. This is a huge, even if you just get a field goal to settle things down, that's massive. You need something, though, to respond because the Eagles just went right. I'm talking about Cobra Kai shit. Right down the field. No mercy. And they throw it. And Daniel Jones gets sacked. He trips over. He really didn't get sacked. He tripped over his tackle's foot. And then he got tagged down. So, technically it's a sack, but he would have escaped. He probably would have gotten the first down because there was nobody out there to stop him. It's an unfortunate set of circumstances, but it happened. It shouldn't have happened because you should have been running the football. Why? You just need 3 yards and you're going for it on 4th down. So why are you throwing it here on 3rd down? It'd be one thing if it was 3rd and 1 and you decided to throw it. I get that because they're looking for a run. You go play action fake, maybe a boot, get him outside the pocket, or maybe you take a shot down the field because you can always come back on 4th down and run it, right? It's 3rd and 3. So if nothing else, you run, you get 2 yards on 3rd down, and you say, well, I'm going for it. It's 4th and 1. You run it again. I was so baffled at that decision to throw it there on 3rd and 3. And then you lose, I think they lost 6 yards. It made it 4th and 9. And I'm like, now you got to throw it. He was going for it. And I tweeted out, question. If you know you're going for it on 4th down and it's 3rd and 3, why not run it there? That's just a little bit of food for thought. You do the dishes. Of course, they go for it on 4th down, and the Eagles did the thing. And I think that was the first time on that particular play. Not the one where he got tripped up because he was going to run. He was fine. He had already made a decision. He was decisive. I'm taking off. That 4th down and 9 was the first of many to come of Daniel Jones having a flashback of being Daniel Jones. It's like he started to remember who he was. Like, oh, shit. Got the deer in headlights thing going. They took away his first option on that 4th down. This wasn't a immediate pressure sack that they got on 4th down. And it ended up being, I think they ended up calling it either intentional grounding or, he was in the grasp, whatever. He ended up trying to throw it away. It didn't matter. Whatever the case may be, they failed on that 4th down. And he just stood there. They took away his first read, and it's like he didn't know what to do. Oh, my God. Richie James isn't open. Oh, my God. Daniel Bellinger isn't open. Oh my God. Isaiah Hodgins isn't open. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And he just stood there. And he ended up getting sacked. And that was the theme of the night. And I said that in my preview for the game. If you're in Philadelphia, he's been real comfortable down the stretch of this season, man. First read has been open. He's not even hesitating. That the first 2 possessions, even after that, sack, right? The next possession, they came back. He gets the big completion to the running back, Breida, right? They're past midfield or at midfield. And they take his first read away, which is Saquon Barkley on a little swing route out of the backfield. He turns that down. He immediately comes to, I believe it was Isaiah Hodgins, maybe it was Daniel Bellinger. It was somebody right there sitting down. And they took his first read away, made him come off of that, and he forced it. And James Bradbury is sitting there baiting him. I dare you. I double dog dare you. Throw this shit. He did. He jumps in front of it, picks it up. And I said, that's the Daniel Jones we've been waiting on. That's the guy that we've come to know and love. That's the guy that gave the Giants pause as to why they didn't pick up the 5th-year option. That's the guy we hadn't seen of late because he hadn't had to worry about the first read not being open. Teams weren't taking that away. They were making it nice and easy for him. They had a good drive going on that second drive. That was it. After that, shit was done. Confidence was gone because the Eagles had already scored 14. It was 14-0. You could see the writing on the wall at this point. They're going to go get more points, and they did. Now it's 21-0, and at this point now, the game's getting out of control. And the Giants aren't don't let last week fool you. I remember saying this last week after the game. 43 games, the Giants had scored 30 or more once, and that was the week prior against Indianapolis to clinch the division or clinch a playoff berth, essentially. All right. They had not scored 30 or more in 40 games. And last week they were able to get to that 31-point threshold. And I was like, holy smokes, what the hell is going on out there? This is why I said that loss, everybody's going to blame Kirk, and that's fine. That loss was on the Vikings defense. You can't let the Giants, who struggle offensively, who have not that a team that doesn't have very many targets and weapons to go to offensively, you cannot let them bless you with 31 points because they don't do that. That's not who they are. They went back to who they were tonight. And you got to credit the Eagles defense for that, because that secondary was flying around. Daniel Jones was seeing all kinds of, colors flash. He didn't know what the hell was going on, and he froze. He just froze. He took sacks. He threw incompletions. I thought the ultimate Daniel Jones moment where I said, okay, he's fully back now. He's fully transformed back into Daniel Jones. Like, he went from Danny Dollars last week to Danny Dimes to now he's Danny Nickels and Pennies. All right. When he fully made that transformation was when there was pressure in the pocket. Well, there was an initial pressure. He stood back there. They took away his first read. He didn't like anything he saw. He rolls out, doesn't feel the backside pressure of Josh Sweat. Like, this dude rolled out and then just stood up. He just stood there and posted up like, I wonder if Richie's going to get open. I see Darius breaking open late. Maybe nah. Boom, he gets hit. Ball comes out. I'm like, bro, you stood in the pocket for 2.5 seconds, maybe 3, and then you got out. What do you think is about to happen? Like, what do you think you're going to just roll out and just chill, post up? Nobody's coming? Ball comes out. Luckily, he had an offensive lineman there to recover it, but that was the ultimate, okay, he's officially back now. It was a rough go of it for him in this game. And again, credit the Eagles defense for that, because no one else was doing that to him during this stretch when all this confidence. We were, I saw tweets and stuff. People were pulling out all kinds of receipts. Is Daniel Jones going to be a franchise, a quarterback, an elite quarterback? I'm like, elite? Whoa. Relax. Easy there, buddy. Okay. There's still questions. They're going to bring him back. I think he's done enough over the course of this season to prove that he belongs on this roster, at least for a bare minimum of next season. I think they're going to give him a long-term deal, but I hesitate if I'm the Giants at, wow, that wasn't good. Now you got to get him some weapons, all that good stuff. What he's playing with right now, no playoff quarterback should be exposed to that. You shouldn't have to deal with that. So let's talk about the Eagles, man. I still think you can run the football on them, which is why I don't think they'll win next week, no matter who they play. Now, Dallas hasn't been running the football all that well, but, if they have to play the 49ers, I think they're going to struggle stopping the run because I think you can still run on them. Saquon had a really solid game. He had a big run, and let's see how much Saquon had in this game. And obviously, he had a big gain in there that's going to kind of skew his average, but I thought they had some success, some solid hits. 9 carries, 61 yards, 39 of that. You take away the 39-yard run, and it's still 8 for 32. 8 for 22. So 8 for 22 isn't great, but it's not terrible. Okay, it's not terrible in the grand scheme of things. Matt Breida, 4 for 23. They had some success on the ground, is what I'm trying to tell you. They ran for 6 yards a pop in this game. Again, Saquon's 39-yarder skews it a bit, but you can do that. That 39-yard run happened. Like, you can do that against Philadelphia. I think they're going to get a heavy dose of the run. They really haven't seen anyone expose them defensively. I think Dallas is going to get exposed on the ground tomorrow by San Francisco, personally. People keep talking about these acquisitions. Dallas acquired Jonathan Hankins, and the Eagles got Linval Joseph and Sue. I don't give a shit. I don't care nothing about that. Run the ball on their ass. And I thought the Giants could have done that. That's why I was pissed off about the 3rd and 3. Run the ball on their ass. How did you get to 3rd and 3? You ran it on 1st down, and you ran it on 2nd down, and you got to 3rd and 3. Run it again. Run it again. You got 7 yards on 2 plays. Run it again. Their offense, I think it's Shane Steichen, I've said this already, has done a phenomenal job. I think he should be in consideration for a head coaching job. Personally, if I've got a team with some young weapons and I'm planning on doing something at quarterback, Shane Steichen is a guy that I would be extremely interested in because what he's done with Jalen Hurts and his offense this year has been fantastic. That said, there is a level of predictability that is so annoying that I'm getting frustrated at this point that teams aren't taking certain things away. I say the same shit over and over again. I feel like I'm a broken record and nobody's hearing me. On 3rd down and 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you're getting an A.J. Brown slant, especially if you're playing 7 yards off. Don't do it. Okay? But you're getting a slant. No matter, you can come up and press him. You're getting a slant. Okay? You're getting a slant. So don't allow that slant to be open. And the Giants are just giving up the slant on the first possession, on the first 3rd down of the game. I'm like, are you kidding me? Hits a deep ball to Devontae. It's a great throw, but it's a great catch by Dallas Goedert. It was not a good ball from Jalen Hurts. It's a great catch by Dallas Goedert on that first touchdown. That would have resulted in a field goal attempt. That could have changed everything. You get a field goal there instead of a touchdown. There's not as much momentum, not as much pressure on the Giants to have to go out and match what they had just done. But that catch, that Dallas Goedert is a beast. Hurts was solid. I wasn't blown away by him in this game. He did what he needed to do. What I was most looking for was to see if he was going to be physical, and he was. So the whole limitation thing, is he 100%? I told you, he won't be 100% the remainder of the season. We don't need to talk about that. Is he healthy enough to run the football with the level of physicality that is necessary for the Eagles offense to thrive? The answer is yes. So I'm not worried about any of that anymore. He showed me tonight he will lower his shoulder. He will do whatever it takes to pick up extra yardage or the 1st down if need be. He's not looking to slide and be contact averse. That's all I was looking for. Everything else will kind of fall into place. They ran it well with Miles Sanders. He was fantastic tonight. They ran all over the Giants defense. That offense, they just had it going. They just had it going. And, the Eagles are one of these teams. They are a momentum-based offense. When they get into a rhythm, they are hard to stop. They play off of emotion, and you can see it on the sideline with their coaching staff. You can frustrate them. I've watched their coaching staff be frustrated. I've watched their players be frustrated. If you frustrate them, you can force them into mistakes. You can force them to be impatient, do some things that are out of character for them. But if you let them get in a rhythm, and they got into a rhythm immediately tonight, I mean, it was gorgeous watching them go right down the field on that opening possession, follow that up with another possession right down the field. And then, the defense started to sit, really settle in. And you could see it was going to be a long night for the Giants. Once they started to, make the mistakes that they made on offense, you couldn't afford it because the defense for the Giants were struggling with this Eagles offense. They were running it. Hurts was throwing it. They really didn't have any answers. You got to take something away, man. You got to take something away. Either you're going to take away Hurts as a runner, you're going to take away Miles Sanders and Boston Scott and Kenneth Gainwell as runners, or you got to take away the pass game. You got to take something away. They took nothing away. And Hurts' numbers weren't eye-popping. They didn't need to be. They didn't need to be. When he needed to make throws, he made them tonight. So, they were impressive. They looked like the Eagles team that went 13-1 before Hurts' injury. And so it sets up an interesting dynamic next week. I'm not backing off of what I've already stated, that the winner of tomorrow's game is going to the Super Bowl. I think those are the two teams that are prepared to represent. Now, again, it's more so San Francisco for me. If Dallas wins, the Eagles can easily beat the Dallas Cowboys. But I do think that Dallas is capable of beating Philadelphia. San Francisco is the one that I think if they win, they're going to Philadelphia and they will beat the Philadelphia Eagles. I do firmly believe that. So tomorrow is huge because if it's Dallas, I can see the Eagles beating the Cowboys, but I could also see the Cowboys beating the Eagles. If the 49ers win, they're going to Philadelphia and winning next week. They're going to Philadelphia and they're going to win next week because Nick Sirianni, he's on cloud nine right now. He's playing. This offense is playing well. Shane Steichen, they're doing a fantastic job, but they ain't Kyle Shanahan. And I've already said Jonathan Gannon is a basic ass defensive coordinator. I didn't stutter when I said it 10 weeks ago. I still feel that way now. He's basic as hell. I think you get exposed next week if it's Kyle Shanahan. He eats this shit up a lot. It's basic ass coverage. We're just going to let the secondary guys play. We're not going to blitz. A lot of twists and stunts. We're going to eat that shit alive up front. You better commit more guys to the box because the Eagles play a pseudo, 3-3-5 type of defense. You bring that shit to the 49ers and they start running counters and shit, they're going to eat that shit alive. Gobble it up because you usually have guys standing up. Specifically Hassan Reddick. He's a defensive lineman, but he's really a linebacker. He's standing up. So you bring that 3-3-5 shit to the 49ers, they're going to eat that shit alive. So it'll be interesting, but they got to win tomorrow. Wake your ass up. We got to win tomorrow. They got to win tomorrow first. But we'll see what happens. This was a dominant performance by the Eagles, 38-7. I knew they were going to win. Once they drew the Giants, they're in the NFC Championship game. I just didn't expect it to be this dominant, but maybe I should have known that the week 14, and again, just like I felt like with Dallas, I said, if Dak doesn't turn it over, they're going to beat Tampa. They're better than Tampa Bay, but I couldn't be sure if Dak wasn't going to turn it over. You turned it over in 7 straight games. So why would I think he was not going to turn it over? I felt the same way about the Eagles offense. Like, I would have predicted a blowout if I would have known Hurts was healthy. I didn't know. The last time I saw him, he looked like a shell of himself. I couldn't be assured that this Jalen Hurts was going to show up. Once I saw him willing to put his body on, I'm like, okay, I've seen enough. The Giants aren't winning this game. But anyway, I digress. So when I look at the matchup next week, potentially, here's what is essentially at stake. For Dallas, I still think I don't think Mike McCarthy's getting fired. I think that win last week and, being in this position, I think he's safe now. But if Brock Purdy is to remain the starter, I think you got to win this next game, right? I think there is a conversation to be had. If they don't win this game and he doesn't play well against Dallas, maybe there's a competition next year. You win this game, he's in the NFC Championship game. You can't bench this man. I don't even think there's even a competition next year. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, I digress. Let's get to the comment section, see what you guys have to say. If you're out there, you have a comment you want read, you know how to make it happen. Use the hashtag LouieTLive to have your comment read on the air. We've got a little bit of time to play with, so I'll get to as many of those as possible. If you want to jump straight to the front of the line, super chats are the way to do that. You know what it is. Let's get it going and see what you guys have to say about the two games that took place today. Donnie Dragon, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Writes, well, LOL. I don't know what to say. How you feel? I don't feel any different. We got some company on the couch. I knew we were going to have some company on the couch. I knew it was going to be the Giants. So I feel exactly the same way I felt going into the game. Like, yeah, Eagles are a good football team. They're better than the Giants. I expected them to win this game. I didn't expect them to win it as handily as they did, but I expected them to win this game. There was never any doubt that they were going to win this game. And I still don't think they're going to win next week. So I still feel the same way that I felt. Now, we'll see. I've been a non-believer in the Eagles because everything that they do this season, and they've been dominant in doing it, which is why you got to respect what they've done. But everything that they do can be stopped. It can be defended. First of all, let me say this. How selfish is A.J. Brown? My God, I'm so glad I don't have guys like that on my team. Now, I love his talent. You saw him blocking on the Devontae Smith touchdown. He's a guy on the field that is dominant in so many different ways. But you're winning 31-7, and he's on the sidelines pouting because he doesn't have a touchdown in the game and he's not eating. It's one thing if this thing were close or you're getting pounded in this game and you haven't touched the rock. I get it, man. Shit, give me the ball. We struggling. You are killing the Giants, and you over there sulking. Man, how selfish is that? Anyway, I digress. The Phillies Ace 34. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Who writes, Louie, what's good, my friend? Hypothetically speaking, if Washington was playing today, does the same thing happen? I say yes, due to your OC being fired. We don't need to deal in hypotheticals. We didn't even make the playoffs. So that's really not a conversation that I'm looking to get into. But of course it doesn't happen. I mean, we win in your house already. We've already done this before. So no, we don't get taken to the woodshed. First of all, I think our defense is better than the Giants defense. First and foremost. But that conversation doesn't need to be had because we didn't make the playoffs. We weren't even good enough to qualify to make the postseason. So I don't really need to even entertain that conversation. We weren't a good enough team to qualify for bonus football. So we don't even need to go down that road. But no, obviously, I wouldn't think that we wouldn't get embarrassed like that. We weren't embarrassed like that at any point this season. The worst loss that we had this year was probably at the hands of your Eagles, and that was 24-8. So no, I don't think that we would have wet the bed like that. But you got to give respect and credit where it's due. And the Giants, they deserve respect. They won a playoff game in their first year in what was supposed to be a rebuilding season. Donnie Dragon, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, it's funny how he was in the booth in both games today. And why is no one talking about him with the sale? Just wondering because it's weird. I have no idea what you're referring to. So I'm gonna just move on. Hey Lou, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Islam, Jamal means beauty. It's ironic that Jamal Agnew was a thing of beauty for Kansas City. He was a gift and a curse. He was a thing of beauty for Jacksonville as well, right? Because without his 2 kick returns, I don't know if this game is even as close as it ultimately was. But then, you know, in a twisted turn of events and you know, his catch and fumble ultimately killed any hopes of Jacksonville stealing this game. You know, if they go in there and they score that touchdown, it's 27-24. As I mentioned, they're probably going to score before that clock turns to 4 minutes. They're going to probably score with 5 and some change left. They've still got 2 timeouts, still got the 2-minute warning. I told you, I thought the Chiefs were done scoring for the day. That doesn't mean that the Chiefs couldn't have picked up 3 or 4 first downs and had the game ended. But with Mahomes being in the state that he was in, knowing that they want to run the football, you're one batted ball at the line of scrimmage. You're one, you know, Mahomes can't get away from the pressure, sack, or have to throw it away from getting off the field on 3rd down. And voila, you got a chance to tie it or win the game with the touchdown. They never got that opportunity because of that fumble. So yeah, that's rough. But he was good, man. I mean, without him, they don't even have a chance. Let's see. Jamal Hamlin, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, double up. Thank you for doubling up. Jamal, who writes, Lou, I don't gamble, but my Marine buddy is a huge Patriots fan, and he swears Kansas City was going down. Needless to say, he's on shift, and I'm watching the LTN. I think that's more of hate from your Marine buddy than it is him being logical. If this were the Chiefs, the Chargers that they were playing today, I would have said, yeah, it's a much bigger chance that they lose this game. Especially, I know it had to be gut-wrenching. I was talking to my homeboy on Twitter, Craig, and he's a Chargers fan, and I said I love playoff ball. I was watching the first quarter of this game, and you could feel the intensity through the television. For me, I was just getting goosebumps watching it, and I'm like, man, I love playoff ball. It just hits different. And then the Mahomes injury happens, and he had already tweeted back, yeah, I love playoff ball except for this game because it hurts. He's a Chargers fan. They were up 27-0. They should be playing in this game against the Chargers, and they would have had a really good shot. They know how to play the Chargers. They usually come up short, but you know, never know what would have happened this time. Then Mahomes gets injured. Could you imagine if he gets injured against the Chargers? You know, who knows? He may not have gotten injured if it was the Chargers, but could you imagine if that same thing, same set of circumstances had come up against the Chargers? The Chargers probably would have beaten them, but that's nor here nor there. I think your buddy is just a hater. Like, and I hate calling people a hater because that's low hanging fruit. That's the easy cop out. Like, oh, they don't, think this team, yada, yada, yada. He's a hater. That's what everybody likes to say. If you thought Jacksonville was beating Kansas City, unless he had like real reasons as to why, like he was telling you this is what they can exploit against Kansas City's defense, or this is how they're going to attack Kansas City's offense, and I think they're going to be able to do it. If he just said, I think they're going to lose because, yeah, he just doesn't like the Chiefs. They, took over that throne and that mantle from his Patriots, and he just doesn't want to see them win. And there's a lot of people out there that don't want to see Kansas City win. You know how it goes. You see a team win all the time, and then there is hate that is developed for that team because they keep winning over and over again. You want to see somebody else get a turn. It's the same thing in college football. People can't stand Alabama now. Why? Because they're always good and they're always around. People can't stand Clemson. I know I can't stand Clemson. I really don't love Dabo Swinney, though. That's my biggest thing is I don't love Dabo Swinney. The aw shucks act is old and tired. I'm sick of it. So I love when they lose games, but it's the same premise. Clemson, you get tired of saying the same 2-3 teams. Georgia's going to be in that discussion soon. Give them another 2 or 3 years where if Kirby Smart keeps this up, people will be hating on Georgia now, so it's just the nature of the beast. It comes with the territory. So I think your friend probably falls into that category, but anyway, I digress. Jamal Hamlin, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Jamal writes, he was Danny D's today. This is not luck. LOL. I appreciate you for clarifying that. he was definitely not Danny Dimes or Danny Dollars today. He was definitely something else. Maybe Danny D's. It was accurate. He was definitely the Daniel Jones that we've all come to know and love. You know, the Daniel Jones with the deer in headlights look, the Daniel Jones staring down a receiver and throwing it right to the defender, the Daniel Jones that stands with the football in his hands, get hit from behind and fumbles the ball with no internal clock going off whatsoever. Yeah, he reverted back to the old Daniel Jones today for sure. Let's see. We have any more supers? Yes, we do. Donnie Dragon, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Donnie Dragon writes, LT, tell Luck to go home. I'm assuming that's go home. I think you're Luck, so I can't tell Luck to go anywhere. I think you're Luck. That's how I feel. Prove me wrong. Anyway, I digress. Donnie Dragon, I'm referring to these. Yeah, you tried. You tried like 2 comments ago when you were talking about he was in the booth. Who the hell are you talking about? Obviously, only person you could have been talking about Daniel Snyder. He wasn't in anybody's booth. So I already saw you. Come on now. You gotta come better than that, man. Gotta come better than that. Anyway. The Phillies Ace 34. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, with your reservations on my Eagles, or hold on, double up, thank you for doubling up. Who writes, with your reservations on my Eagles winning the Super Bowl and how Gannon is a basic coordinator, but Shanahan is known for choking, can the Eagles outplay or score the remaining opponents, excluding family business? Of course, anything can happen. Look, because I think that Gannon is a basic coordinator that I think will be exposed, whether it's on this side of the bracket by a team or on the other side of the bracket. I mean, you saw what Dallas did to him, right? When Dak played, that Gardner Minshew starting has nothing to do with the fact that you gave up 41 points. That had everything to do with the fact that your defensive coordinator is basic as hell. You could have still won that game with Gardner Minshew playing the way that he did because you scored 34 points. Or 36 or whatever the damn number was. You scored enough points to win and beat Dallas, and your coordinator is basic as hell, and you give up a 3rd and 30. So, yeah, I do think that he can be out coached, whether it's on this side of the bracket against Dallas or San Francisco, or it's against one of these AFC teams. You know, you do that basic shit against Joe Burrow, and you better get pressure. I think you can get pressure on Burrow. But you do that basic shit against Josh Allen, that basic shit against Mahomes, if he's relatively healthy, they're going to eat that shit alive, right? So I have zero confidence in his ability to hold down an actual good offense. What they did today, I'm not shocked by that because the Giants are very limited on offense. I was shocked they scored 31 last week, even though I don't believe in the Vikings defense. They just fired Ed Donatel, their defensive coordinator. Probably fired him because they gave up 31 points to the damn Giants offense. That's why he got fired. But I don't believe in Gannon, but absolutely anything can happen. Shanahan can get in here and outsmart himself. And, you know, Brock, again, I've said this. I think Brock Purdy's got a stinker in him somewhere along the lines, and maybe he doesn't. Maybe we're waiting. Maybe we're waiting for that other shoe to drop, and it never does. That's a possibility as well. I'm pretty sure, I can't confirm nor deny this, but I'm pretty sure people were expecting the same thing that happened to Brady when he was playing. Oh, at some point, this Brady kid's he's gonna falter. And he never did. Managed the game. They won the Super Bowl. The rest is history. Maybe Brock Purdy's heading down the same road. I still contend that there is a stinker, and it could be against the Eagles. They get pressure on him. He folds up like a lawn chair, fumbles the ball, throws a couple picks. That shit could happen. Absolutely. But I have my reservations because I think Gannon is a basic defensive coordinator. And I think the Eagles offense, with all of its different wrinkles, like the fake quarterback sneak pitch. Oh my God, that shit was beautiful. Like, you got to give Shane. I've seen some gorgeous short yardage plays from Shane Steichen this year. One against the Steelers where it's like a speed option, and he looks like he's about to pitch it, and then a guy, I think it was like AJ Brown, comes across the formation, he just tosses it to him. Like, how are you going to stop this? He can either pitch it, throw it to the guy in front of him. Like, what are you going to do? They got your ass. They got your nuts in a vice grip. What are you going to do? Like, that thing, they thought, even Daryl Johnston thought it was a quarterback sneak. He's calling quarterback sneak. And, they sent Dallas Goedert in a short motion there, which should have been a tell to somebody. But if you're in your stance, you're not seeing that. You're thinking it's quarterback sneak. Pitch that shit out there, get the first down, get some blockers out there, get the first down. Thing of beauty. But even in saying that, this offense is extremely basic. It's creative, but it's still at its core basic. 3rd and 6, slant to AJ Brown. You get a shot opportunity, I get one-on-one, he's taking the shot. All right, which you're supposed to do. You get one-on-one with your big-time receiver, take the shot. He does that. All right. 3rd down, I'm looking for Dallas Goedert. It's probably going to be an outbreaking route to Dallas Goedert, or it's going to be a tight end screen to Dallas Goedert. You get an opportunity. Like, you kind of can predict some of the things. At least I can. I've watched enough Eagles games that I can kind of predict what's going to happen. We'll see if teams are doing their homework or not and are able to pick up on some of these tells and are able to then defend the Eagles a little bit better. But anything can happen, including your Eagles winning the Super Bowl. We've already talked about this. I've been talking about it before the season started. I said the NFC is wide open. That was my narrative that I was pitching before the season started. Nothing has changed. The NFC is wide ass open. And just because there are better quarterbacks and probably better teams in the AFC doesn't mean that they're going to mop the floor with whomever comes out of the NFC side of the bracket. It doesn't mean that at all. Eagles get to the Super Bowl, 49ers get to the Super Bowl, Cowboys get to the Super Bowl. They're going to give one of those teams a run for their money, either beat them or it's going to be a close competitive game. Will not be an ass kicking though. Abel Ambrosio. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes, what's up with Shannon and the Grizzlies last night? I mean, Shannon being extra, again, it's all about entertainment for these dudes. Which is why I don't get into that shit. That shit didn't move me whatsoever. People get into that stuff and they love it. They suck that shit up. That's why I don't watch these television shows, because how you carry yourself on social media has to correspond with how you carry yourself on your show. And everything they do on their show is for views and attention. And that's what his behavior was on the court the other night. Like, that shit was unnecessary. You talking shit to players, what you think they're going to do? And then you want to get all big and bad, huffing and puffing and all of that shit. That shit is unnecessary. Sit your ass down. You a spectator like everybody else. You ain't the only person sitting on the floor that got money. All the people in LA came to see Ja Morant first and foremost. They came to see LeBron, and they came to see Ja. That's why they packed the damn stadium, all right, or the arena. And just sit your ass down and enjoy the goddamn game like everybody else. He made a mockery of the situation. All the young people love that shit. They eat it up. That shit doesn't do anything for me. Doesn't do a damn thing for me. Luck. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes, just making sure you're sharp 24/7. Sleep tight. Oh, I'm on it, bro. Especially, look, the only way I'm going to just tell you this right now, the only way you'll ever get me again, ever, I promise you, is if you catch me in a vulnerable spot. And the only way I'll be vulnerable is if it has something to do with Washington. You'll never get me on one of these overtime streams. Never. Because I'm going to be in my right mind at all times. I'm going to be sharp, on high alert. You catch me after a tough loss. That's the last time you got me, as a matter of fact. I think the last time you got me was either after the Titans game or the Vikings game. You caught me in a vulnerable spot, and I wasn't thinking straight. I think it was the Titans game. It's been a long time since you got me. I don't think you got me because I wasn't as hurt after the Vikings game. The Titans won. That shit hurt like hell because I thought the season was over too. So I think that was the last time you got me. And you weren't right for that shit because you stooped to a real low level on that one. But you got me. I can't take it away from you. But bro, you won't get me on some of this. Luck, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Who writes, worst part is you don't know what I look like. One day I'll get you in person. Now that, well, first of all, I'm on high alert. Anytime I step out my house, I'm on high alert. I'm just one of them type of people. So if you're rolling up on me, I'm going to be like, who is this person rolling up on me? I've had people, I'm at the gym working out, and I've had people staring at me. I told y'all, if you think it's me or you think you know me or whatever, just come up to me. Don't stare at me. I have a problem with that. Now it becomes adversarial. Like now I'm like, do you want to fight? Like, is there a reason why you're staring at me? So I'm always on high alert. I'm always on guard. So I don't know if you'll be able to get me in person, but try as you might. I mean, knock yourself out, but I'm going to be on high alert. Anyway, he says, movies, grocery store, gas station. I could be in your Amazon delivery driver. I could be your Amazon delivery driver. Look, man, I don't lose sleep at night thinking luck is going to get me. I just, on these streams, I'm on high alert. Okay. But I'm not worried about walking out of my house and is today the day luck's going to get me? That's not how I operate. So, oh man, Luck, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Luck says, does your wife ask questions that feel luckish? No, she doesn't. She doesn't do that. Oh man. Mike Jink, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, what's up, buddy? What's going on, Mike Jink? You giving me the eyes, the googly eyes, like I predicted y'all to lose this game or something. Like, you know what's funny with Eagles fans? They hear what they want to hear. I'm a hater in their mind because they want me to bow down at the altar to them, and I'm refused to do it because I feel like they're very beatable. Okay, but in saying that, I haven't picked against the Eagles but twice this season. That was it. I picked against them when we played them the first time and we got our asses reamed. And I think I picked against them 3 times. Pardon me. I picked against them in the Minnesota game in week 2, which I shouldn't have because I didn't trust Kirk in that game, but I did it anyway. Because I was going off of week 1 and what Detroit did, and I fell into the trap. But anyway, that's nor here nor there. I picked against them in week 3 when we played them. And then I didn't pick against them again until when they played the Titans. That was it. 3 times. That's it. I mean, I've stated this. I stated this before the season started. I thought Jalen Hurts was going to suck. I based everything that I said. I said this roster is loaded. It's the best roster in the division. I said that Harry Roseman did a great job, even though, you know, I'm a hater. I don't think Harry Roseman is the best GM. I think he's pulled off some incredible deals. I still don't know how he got Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. The Saints are stupid for that. I think that's more stupidity on the part of the Saints than it is, you know, Harry Roseman, you know, pulling the wool over somebody's eyes. The Saints, for whatever reason, wanted all out of the Chauncey Gardner-Johnson business. And I still can't, for the life of me, understand why and how he saw an opportunity and he pounced on it. You know, all the other moves, the A.J. Brown move, great move. But the Titans, they were getting out of the A.J. Brown. Again, he didn't fleece anybody. He made some shrewd moves that really upgraded this team. The 1-year deal he signed for James Bradbury, excellent deal. You know, going out and getting Linval Joseph and Ndamukong Suh, that was out of necessity. They were getting their asses reamed in the run game. Great move. Those guys were sitting there to be plucked, and he did. But I still think there are other GMs that are better than him. I've already stressed this enough. However, he's really good. He's a top 5 GM in the league, probably top 3 in the league. I just don't think he's number 1. So I guess I'm a hater because of that. But at the end of the day, I picked you to beat the Giants. Did I think it was going to be 38-7? No, I didn't. But But I never once thought the Giants had a chance to win this game. I thought it would be close. I never thought they would have the football with a chance to beat you. I had to score 26-20. And I thought because of week 18 and you giving them a little life, they were going to come in confident. And they did. Those first two possessions offensively, they moved the ball, especially the first possession. That looked like a continuation of Minnesota. And then I can't explain why on 3rd and 3 they decided to throw it. And if Jones doesn't trip over his own tackle's foot, again, got to give the defense credit. He got pushed back, did Andrew Thomas, right into, or it might have been Evan Neal. Got pushed right back into the lap of Daniel Jones, and that's how he tripped over his foot. But if they would have just run it on 3rd and 3, they might have gotten the first down there. If not, they probably would have gotten it on 4th and 1 or 4th and 2, whatever the case may be. But I digress. The bottom line is you took care of business tonight. I said you were going to win the game, but this comment right here, you should be reserving that for next week if I'm wrong, which I've already made my bet. I'm going to lie in it. Whether I'm right and I'm comfortably laying back next week, or I'm wrong and I got to sit here and lay in it, right? I got to let it stew and I got to lay in it. I'll be here. You know where to find me. But I've already said whoever wins the game tomorrow is going to the Super Bowl for representing the NFC. So this comment, Mike Jink, save it for next week. You can even put some extra sauce on it if you need to, which I'm pretty sure you will if I'm proven wrong next week and you win the game. But we'll see what happens. Anyway, I digress. Let's see. All right, so that was the last super. Now let's get into a couple of these hashtags. I'll give y'all about 10 minutes. We'll knock out as many of these as we can. The Colt Talker, right? So the fact that we lost to these bums, the Giants, makes me want to vomit. I don't have that feeling anymore. I had that feeling when we first tied them and then lost to them. I had that feeling then. I don't have that feeling anymore because every ounce of jealousy, envy, disappointment, frustration that left my body last week when I watched them go to Minnesota and beautifully execute and win a game on the road against the Vikings. I said, we wouldn't have done that shit. As much as I would love to sit here and tell you, oh, we would have went to Minnesota and won. Maybe. It wouldn't have looked like that. We wouldn't have went there and rolled up over 430 yards of offense. And, you know, they couldn't stop the Giants offensively. The Giants did whatever they wanted to do in that game. We weren't going to do that at all. We barely scratched 17 points against that same stinking ass Vikings defense. Barely scratched across the board 17 points. No. And if not for an official running a down screen on a YOLO ball in triple coverage, we don't score one of those touchdowns. So the Giants were better. They were better coached. I still contend we have better talent, but it doesn't make you a better team. They were better coached than us, which makes them the better team. And they proved it by beating us once and tying in the other game. So I don't feel any type of way about that. I don't feel any type of way. Need for the Blaze. The Eagles look dominant. Wow. No matter who wins tomorrow night, the NFC Championship game is going to be one heck of a contest. Plus those QBs in the AFC Championship. Wow. I agree. I think next week's going to be a great game. No matter who wins, whether it's Dallas or San Francisco, it's going to be fun. I can tell you this, the Eagles will not be doing what they did today to whomever they're playing next week. And I think I felt that from Eagles fans this week. They weren't looking at the Giants. They were looking past those boys. They already knew they were winning this game. They weren't worried about the Giants. And frankly, if I were an Eagles fan, I would have been nervous because that's just my nature, but I wouldn't have been worried about the Giants either. Like, there was never any doubt that they were going to beat the Giants. I thought it was going to be closer than what it was, but I never thought they were going to lose the game. Never. It never entered my mind. Like, they're playing in the NFC Championship game. They're hosting it. Once they won, I thought that they could have lost to Dallas because that's who they would have been playing. Had the Vikings beat the Giants last week, they'd have been playing Dallas. I thought they could have lost that game. No way they were losing to. They were going to beat Tampa. Obviously, you saw what Tampa did, and I had no doubts they would have beaten Tampa had Tampa, because if Tampa would have beaten Dallas, it would have been something like 17-16. They would have had to drag Dallas down to their level. They weren't going to go and beat Dallas 34-30. Like, that's not who they've been this season. So I didn't see them being able to do that to Philadelphia's offense. They were going to lose. The only team that could have gone to Philadelphia and beaten them this week would have been Dallas. And obviously, with the Giants winning, that went out the window. So I knew they were playing in the NFC Championship game. Next week's game is going to be outstanding. Bart Scott. Can't wait. Got another super here. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. Here. Oh, I got one here from Mike Jake. Mike Jake, that's my guy, man. I'm starting to really like Mike Jake. That Mike Jake, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. My guy Mike Jake says, "Oh, I already told you yesterday was noted. LOL. You did. You already put me on notice. Like, bro, duly noted. I got it. I took notes. I'll be back. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll be back. I know. You waiting. You waiting for the kid to slip. And you know what? You should be. You should be. Luck. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Luck writes, can you define luckish for a few of the new people? So Luck is one of the biggest trolls he's the biggest troll in LTN history, but he's one of the biggest trolls in the game, period. No one's safe. Eagles content creators, Giants content creators, Cowboy content creators, Washington content creators. He's got unlimited accounts. I don't know how this man has, 570 different, emails, or he's changing this, thumbnail, name, all that stuff on the fly. He's got a lot going on, but he's always looking to get somebody on some D's nuts. All right. So there are comments that are very vague. He made one earlier where he tried to get me. He was like, he was in the press box of the game, and he's in both games. He's supposed to be selling the team, and he's trying to get you to say who, or he's trying to, because he wants you to D's nuts, right? Not happening for me. But the vague comments that are made are luckish, because you're trying to bait me. You're trying to bait somebody into making a mistake and getting caught up. Like Usher, caught up. Won't be me. But hey, hide your wife and kids. It's real dangerous out here, man. With luck lurking. Always. Jamal Hamlin, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Jamal writes, I'm petty when it comes to the Cowboys. My oldest son married a Cowboys fan. I told my son better not have his in-laws over to watch the game. Kick rocks. I don't have any resentment for Cowboys fans unless you come at me sideways. I usually keep it cordial with all fans of any team. But you bring the smoke to me, best be ready for when I return that smoke, and I'm returning it, tenfold. You're not going to get it back the same way you gave it to me. So that's all. I don't start fights, but I can finish them very, very well, as Eagles fans can attest to earlier this season when we beat them. I was beating them up for a week straight, and all they could say is, hey, your record, you're in last place. I don't give a shit about that. I'm talking about what I did to your ass and your crib as an 11-point underdog. That's what I want to talk about. To hell with all that other shit you talking about. I want to talk about you was undefeated and you are undefeated no more. That's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the fact that we ran it down your throat to the point where you had to go out and get not one defensive tackle from the old folks home, but you had to go get two of them boys. Oh, I love it. So, I again, like, my dad is a Cowboys fan. Y'all know this. My dad's a Cowboys fan. My mom's a Cowboys fan. My sister's, one of my sisters is a Cowboys fan. That doesn't bother me. I've been around Cowboys fans my entire life. This shit doesn't bother me at all. So, you can be petty if you like, but there's only so much pettiness you can have when your team sucks, and we suck. So you got to, and I've met plenty of Washington fans who don't give a shit that we suck. They're going to talk their shit, and that's fine. Knock yourself out. You got to humble yourself at some point. When your team sucks ass, you got to humble yourself. You know, that's why you ain't going to catch me talking but so much trash. You know, there's a certain level of decorum that you should have because your team is ass, and you have to acknowledge that, especially when you get to this time of the year. I'll talk shit with you all day long in the regular season because football to be played. Once the good teams establish themselves and we get to bonus football and you're not playing, I zip it. You won't hear too much trash talking out of me. We didn't earn the right to say anything to anybody else. Anyway, all we can do is share in the misery of losses by other teams in the division that are ultimately going to join us on the couch. We got company. Hey, Giants, what's good? What's up, man? Took y'all a while to get here. I know y'all called me last week, said y'all was going to be late, but what's up? Y'all good? Yeah, that was a pretty good spanking y'all got today, but it's all good, man. Popcorn's in the pantry inside the kitchen, man. Go ahead, help yourself. It's all good. And I can't guarantee that the Cowboys will be joining us tomorrow, but I feel like they'll be joining us tomorrow. But we'll see. Anything's possible. Raymond Mirza, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Raymond Mirza writes, "What's up, Lou? What's up, Raymond?" Says, "You're doing an amazing job. You do you, bro. Keep it up." I appreciate you, Raymond. Thank you so much for the super chat and the support. Always greatly appreciated. Swaggy P, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, Swaggy P, writes, "Only way to make this weekend better is Dallas joining us and the Giants on the couch. We got that seat warm for you. Hashtag HTTC." Yeah, Giants are already here, sitting in their same spot. It's just like old times. Now we're just waiting for Dallas to join us, and then we'll make the cipher complete next week. Now, what will suck, and I've already stated this, I think I said this 2 weeks ago, before Dallas played Tampa Bay, I said what's going to suck, especially if the Giants beat Minnesota, which they did, because I said the perfect outcome would be the Giants lose to the Vikings, then the Cowboys lose to the Bucks then go to Philadelphia, beat the Eagles, and everybody's gone. That would have been the perfect scenario. Of course, that wasn't going to take place, but that was the perfect scenario. But I knew that wasn't going to happen. So, I would have settled for, Giants get eliminated by Vikings, Cowboys beat the Bucks. Now somebody's got to go in the divisional round. Dallas is going to Philadelphia, and somebody's got to be eliminated right away. And there's only one NFC East team, left standing. Somebody's going to make it to the NFC Championship game, obviously. But we were already in that position with the Giants playing the Eagles. Somebody's going to make it there, right? And we knew it was going to be the Eagles, not the Giants. So either way, I would have loved it if we weren't in a predicament where we could have two NFC East teams in the NFC Championship game, because now that guarantees somebody from the division is going to the Super Bowl. We don't want that. But that's a realistic possibility. For the Cowboys win tomorrow, somebody's going to the chip from this division. Or the bowl, rather. 49ers win, and there's still hope that nobody from this division makes it to the bowl and is playing February football, which is the way we like it. Misery loves company. Let's see. All right. That was the last super there. All right. I'm going to give y'all 5 more minutes. Get to some more hashtags. I think we got a couple more. I got to go all the way back to the top for those. Let me see. Guy was right here. James Martin writes, between the 49ers and Cowboys, who has a better shot at beating the Eagles? Both of them have a great shot at beating the Eagles, but 49ers, for me, bigger, much better shot. much better shot. I think a better coached football team, the 49ers are. I worry about Brock Purdy. I do worry about him a little bit. But I think between DeMeco Ryans defensively and even he has his, faults. I think he'll clean some of that shit up though. And I think I think he'll be more keen to because we can sit here and talk about Dallas's defense and Dan Quinn, and I love Dan Quinn, but Gardner Minshew was torching their ass. Like, I don't want to sit here and act like Dallas's defense can't get work, because they can. I think the 49ers will be a lot better equipped to deal with the challenges that the Eagles pose offensively. But I think it's also a matter of more so the 49ers offense, I think, will be able to take advantage of what I think is a really good Eagles defense from a talent perspective, but it's basic in its scheme. So I think that the Eagles can be exposed on that side of the ball, and I think Shanahan is the man for the job. So I would say the 49ers have a much better shot than that of the Cowboys. But I think both teams have a legitimate shot at beating Philadelphia next week, which is hence the statement, the winner of tomorrow's game is going to the Super Bowl to represent the NFC. So we'll see what happens. Jonathan Hankey. Thank you Jonathan Hankey writes, I don't know if Giants offensive coordinator Mike Kafka will be a head coach this year, but he does make a strong case for himself being a head coach with less talent on the Giants roster. I think there's a case to be made for him. I didn't necessarily love all the aspects of the Giants offense this season. I thought they did a lot with a little, and that goes a long way in this league. How much of the credit does he deserve? How much of this is Brian Daboll? I don't know. I'd love to know how much responsibility does Mike Kafka have on game days in terms of calling plays. I'm assuming he's the play caller. I don't think I ever have seen Brian Daboll with a play sheet on the sideline. He looks like he's just kind of managing the game. I don't think he's calling any plays. I think he leaves that up to Mike Kafka, which I think most really good head coaches do a good job of delegating. Now, if you're an offensive guy, Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, Kevin O'Connell, Matt LaFleur, if that's who you are through and through, you're a play caller. What's the most fun to you is calling plays. You don't want to give that up. Okay, I get it. That's fine. Then you have to delegate defensive responsibilities, because you can't do both. You can't still oversee the entire game, what the defense is doing, and call plays as a play caller. It's just too much. So either you're going to delegate that to a guy and just leave that to him, and really focus on the offense, or you're going to allow someone to call the offensive plays so that you can oversee everything. It's tough. It's really tough. Anyway, I digress. It's tough to do both. So I don't know if Kafka's role is a lot bigger than I believe it is, or it is much bigger than I've been led to believe. Whatever the case may be, I think he could use a little bit more seasoning as an OC. I'd leave him there for one more year. If I were a team looking for a head coach, I wouldn't be interested in him quite yet. Do it again next year. That's always my challenge with guys, that you could be a one-year wonder, flash in the pan. Do that shit again next year. If nobody saw this coming this year, I would assume the Giants will get more weapons for Daniel Jones. They will not be as void of talent as they were this year. Okay, fine. That'll be great. That should help the offense, but everyone will know that the Giants aren't trash. Like, they snuck up on people this year. They won't be sneaking up on anybody next year. And the level of competition will be a lot tougher. We already know you're not playing the AFC South. You're not playing the NFC North next year. You're playing the NFC West, and you're playing the AFC East. You're playing some legitimate football teams. So with that said, Do it again next year. You do it again next year. Daniel Jones has 22 touchdown passes and 9 interceptions and throws for 3,300 yards. And the Giants are a 9-10 win team again. All right, Mike Kafka, you're up. Do it again. Joe Rockhead J. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, I just hate that we were supposed to arrest and remove Seattle or the Giants and someone called security on us. That's just how it goes, man. We weren't supposed to be in the dance. That's what it amounted to. We tried to sneak in the back door and they called security on us and had us escorted from the premises. And we deserve to be escorted off the premises. We had our opportunities, man. No one should feel sorry for us. We had every opportunity to make the playoffs. After the slow start that we had, for us to reel off, 5 out of 6 and put ourselves in the position that we were in. We were 7-5 going into that first Giants game. We were up 10-0 and we blew it. That's on us. We got nobody else to blame for that but us. So it is what it is. I don't feel bad, and nobody should feel bad for us. We did that to ourselves. Anyway, I digress. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on Divisional Round Weekend Overtime. I think we got what we expected. I got the actual game wrong, but I said one of the two games today would be a 2-score win. Because I didn't even think – I thought the one game that was going to get out of control was the Chiefs game. But it wasn't going to be out of control to the point where the Jags were soundly handled by 3 scores. I had them winning by 12. I think my prediction was 29-17. They won the game 27-20. So I wasn't that far off there. And they got a late field goal to cut it to a 1-score game. That game was was competitive. I thought it would be. I think if Mahomes doesn't injure himself, I think I do get the 2-touchdown or the 2-score win there. But I did not expect the Giants to be handled as thoroughly as they were. I did not think they were going to win. I didn't think they would have the ball with the chance, in this game at any point. But 28-0 at halftime? Zoinks! Scoop! That's rough. That's rough. That's the best I can say. That's rough. That's an understatement too. Anyway, Giants are home. Eagles advance to the NFC Championship game. Well, they will host the winner of tomorrow's contest between the San Francisco 49ers and the Dallas Cowboys. Meanwhile, the Kansas City Chiefs advance to the AFC Championship game, where they'll either be hosting the Cincinnati Bengals at home or they'll be traveling to Atlanta, where they'll meet the Buffalo Bills in a neutral game site, or a neutral site game, rather. So that's going to do it for me, your man, Louie T. Thank you guys for joining me. I look forward to chopping it up with you guys tomorrow. We will do this all over again. 2 new games, 2 new outcomes, and then we will be able to then look forward to what will be a great Sunday of football in the championship window next week. But we'll see what happens. Bengals at Bills to kick off the Sunday festivities, followed by Cowboys at Niners. Should be a ton of fun. Bart Scott can't wait. Got one super on the way out. This is from my guy, Chauncey Davis. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, OG, triple OG, writes, what's the status on Phidarian Mathis? I would assume everything's going well. Generally, no news is good news with a dude that gets injured. He got injured in week 1. So as far as we're concerned, he should be ready for the start of camp. There should be if there's no setbacks, which the only time you hear anything about a guy's recovery is if something goes wrong with it. If everything's going the way that it's supposed to, then you shouldn't hear anything. And when it's time for him to show up, he shows up. So as far as I'm concerned, Phidarian Mathis, he had his surgery right after he tore his ACL. It was successful. He posted pictures. Everything's good there. Now he's just rehabbing at this point. It's been that happened in September. We're in January. So what, 4 months? Yeah. October, November, December. So yeah, roughly 4 months ago. So I would assume that he's probably about to start getting back to where he can start, having some light jogging going on, range of motion, all that stuff, get all that stuff back. He should be getting that range of motion back and maybe starting to do some of the things that he's accustomed to doing. And, you get into the offseason into April and May, he should be able to start running, cutting, all of that good stuff, putting the kind of weight that he needs to be ready for, late July, early August. So that's the assumption. I don't know for sure. I can't confirm nor deny that. But again, with recovery, with a guy that has surgery, if you don't hear anything, then that means everything's going well. That should be the assumption. So anyway, I digress. That's going to do it for me, your man, Louie T. Until tomorrow, you guys have a good one. As always, take care. God bless and good night.